Let's make chocolate chip cookie stuffed cinnamon rolls. I cannot even begin to explain how delicious these are. Combining these light and fluffy cinnamon sugar rolls with a classic buttery chocolate chip cookie and topping it with a classic powdered sugar glaze. This is the ultimate dessert combination. So let's get into it. Now, as always, for the cinnamon rolls, you want to start by making your starter. So in a small bowl, you're going to combine your flour, your water, and your half a teaspoon of instant yeast, and just give that a good mix until it's all well and combined. Then you're going to cover it with plastic wrap and place it in a warm place to allow it to activate for about an hour to an hour and a half. This is going to help the cinnamon rolls be really light and fluffy, so you don't want to skip this step. Now, once the starter is nice and activated, you're going to warm up your milk to the temperature of a warm bath, not too hot, not boiling. And you're going to combine it with your yogurt, your sugar, and your instant yeast. And you're just going to give this a nice good mix and set that aside for about 10 minutes until the yeast activates and gets nice and frothy and bubbly. Now, while the yeast is activating, you want to grab a large bowl of a standing mixer and you're just going to combine your flour and your baking powder and just give that a good mix so it's all well and incorporated together. And once your yeast is activated, it'll look a little bit something like this. You can see that there's bubbles kind of popping up at the top and it's kind of frothy. And from here, you're just going to add in your egg into that yeast mixture and just give that a nice good mix, making sure the yolk is popped. And you're going to grab your dry ingredients, so the flour and the baking powder that you just mixed together, and you're just going to go ahead and pour in your yeast mixture. You're also going to add in your starter, which will look a little bit something like this once it's activated. So just adding that as well to your dry ingredients and the yeast mixture. And you want to go ahead and grab your kneading attachment and you're just going to mix this together until it forms a nice kind of wet dough. You can also do this a little bit yourself manually with a spatula if you would like to start off. But you just want to get this kneaded until it forms into a dough. And then you're going to add in your cubes of butter. They definitely need to be at room temperature here so that they actually incorporate into the dough and get mixed in here. And you're just going to knead this. And once all of your butter has been added to the dough, you're going to knead this for about 10 minutes. And at this point, the dough should be a little bit wet, but not so sticky that it's fully sticking to your fingers. So you can see here, you can poke it and there's maybe like a few crumbs that will stick, but that's it. And that's kind of what you're looking for. And once your dough has been kneaded, you're going to grab a large bowl and kind of just pour a little bit of olive oil at the bottom. Grab your dough and place it into a ball at the bottom of this lightly greased bowl. Cover it with plastic wrap and you're going to let this dough rise in a warm place for about an hour to an hour and a half or until it has doubled in size. Now, while the dough is rising, you want to prepare your baking pan. So just lining a 9 by 11 inch pan and lightly greasing it. And you can set that aside. And at this point, you can also make the cookie dough if you're making it at home. You're going to beat your sugars and your butters together until they're nice and light and fluffy. Then you want to add in your egg and your vanilla. Mix that to combine until it all comes together. Then you want to go ahead and add in all of your dry ingredients. Mix until that is just combined, and then you can go ahead and add in your chocolate chips and gently folding those in until they're evenly distributed. Cover your bowl with plastic wrap and set that aside. You also want to go ahead and make your cinnamon sugar filling. So just combining your brown sugar along with your cinnamon and your nutmeg, giving that a nice mix until it's all well and combined, and then you can just cover this with plastic wrap and set that aside as well until the cinnamon rolls are ready to be rolled. Now, once your dough has doubled in size, it will look a little bit something like this. So you can go ahead and remove the plastic wrap, and you want to lightly flour a rolling surface and just spread it out evenly. And then you can go ahead and add your dough face down, pushing down on it a little bit just to get the air bubbles out if there are any. And you just want to roll this out to about 1/4 of an inch thick, or into a large rectangle sized about 12 by 18 inches. And once your dough is rolled out, you can go ahead and brush on your melted butter, just evenly brushing it on. And from there, you can grab your cinnamon sugar filling and just spreading it on evenly, a nice thick layer, because we love that cinnamon sugar filling. And then the best part, you're going to grab your cookie dough and you just want to spread it out evenly on top of that cinnamon sugar filling. And just gently but firmly pressing it in and just creating that nice even layer here. What's nice about this chocolate chip cookie recipe is that the dough is pretty buttery and soft, so it's pretty easy to just kind of flatten it out on top of the cinnamon sugar filling. And I had a little bit of butter left as well as some cinnamon sugar, so I just poured the rest of it on top of the cookies and just made for a nice finish here to use up all of the ingredients. And then you just want to start from the top and roll your dough firmly until it's fully rolled. And grabbing yourself a large knife, or some people also use floss to cut the dough, and just making these about 1 inch thick. I mean, look at these. These look so beautiful and so delicious. You can see the cookie dough. That is so good. So once you've cut up all of your cinnamon rolls, you're just gonna place them into your lightly greased pan. You do want to give them a little bit of space to grow and rise. You're gonna cover these with plastic wrap. Place them somewhere warm for about half an hour to 45 minutes. While the dough is getting its second rise, you're going to make the icing. Now this part is pretty simple. You're just going to combine all of your ingredients into a large bowl and just mix to combine. If you're looking for a thicker icing, put a little bit less cream. If you want a thinner icing, go ahead and put a little bit more cream. Once your dough has doubled in size, you can preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit and pour some of that heavy cream on top of the rolls. Cover with a piece of buttered tin foil, and you're going to bake these with the tin foil for about 23 minutes, and then remove the tin foil and keep baking for about 5 to 6 minutes until you get that nice golden brown. I think I accidentally had my oven on an air fry setting, so these look a little bit more golden brown than I wanted them to, but that's all right. They're still absolutely delicious. You want to let these cool once they've done baking for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then you can go ahead and place the icing on top. And then these are ready to serve, and you have this super light and fluffy cinnamon rolls with that classic cinnamon sugar filling, combined with a buttery chocolate chip cookie filling as well. Super delicious. Written recipe on my website. If you like this recipe, make sure to like, follow, and subscribe to the channel. It helps me keep making these recipes. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next week.